Ariana King stepped out of the sleek black town car like she had walked out of a billion-dollar billboard, calm, sharp, and dangerously composed. She wasn't just rich. She was power-wrapped in silk and steel. Founder and CEO of King Tech Global, a company she built from a tiny apartment and a dying laptop, now valued at $2.4 billion. Today was meant to be historic, a potential $900 million strategic partnership with the Whitmore dynasty, one of the wealthiest old money families in America. But Ariana already felt the sting in the air before she even crossed the marble lobby. That kind of cold, slick disrespect wealthy families used like perfume, subtle but choking, if you had ever been on the wrong side of society's table. She took the elevator to the private top-floor boardroom, heels clicking like a countdown. When she entered, 5 faces turned, all white, all polished in the way legacy wealth shines without ever working, all wearing smiles just thin enough to slice through skin. At the head of the table sat Langston Whitmore, CEO heir, and the kind of man who believed wealth gave him the right to judge reality. "You must be the assistant," he smirked, not even standing. "Coffee, water? Or do you just handle the note-taking?" His cousins chuckled. One whispered, "Ambitious for her?" Ariana didn't flinch, didn't blink. She placed her 45K crocodile bag on the polished oak, sat down like she belonged, because she did, and waited. Her chief of strategy walked in behind her, stunned at the disrespect he had heard through the door. "Actually," he said, tone ice, "this is Ms. Ariana King, sole owner and CEO of King Tech." Silence hit like thunder. The laughter died, but the arrogance didn't. Langston straightened, but didn't apologize. He said slowly, as if identifying a strange artifact. "I assumed the owner would look more in line with traditional leadership." He meant white. He meant male. He meant not her. Ariana crossed her legs, diamonds at her wrist catching sunlight like lightning. "Oh, don't worry," she said smoothly, voice velvet with a blade underneath. "I get that often. Small minds struggle with evolution." A few jaws dropped. Langston's eyes narrowed. The room shifted. The power line redrew itself, and Ariana was suddenly the gravity everyone orbited. They began the meeting. Every time Ariana spoke strategy, Langston interrupted. Every time she laid out numbers, he smirked as though charity was dripping from his lips. "We believe you'd benefit tremendously from being under a more guided structure," he said. Guided, owned, controlled. The Whitmores didn't want a partner. They wanted a trophy, one that happened to be a black woman so they could brag about diversity while leashing innovation. Ariana leaned back, letting him talk, letting the rope tighten around their arrogance. When she presented her vision, global expansion, innovation incubators in underserved communities, tech pipelines for youth, Langston waved a hand. "Let's be realistic," he said. "Your background may inspire your philanthropic emotions, but business requires discipline." One cousin muttered, "Ambition without pedigree." They thought she didn't hear. She heard every syllable. And she wasn't angry. No anger would have given them too much worth. What she felt was colder, sharper. Regret. Regret that she had considered giving them a seat at a table they didn't deserve. With grace so controlled it terrified men like them, she stood. The room froze. "Where are you going?" Langston asked, annoyed, confused, threatened. Ariana slid her contract folder back into her bag. "I came to discuss a partnership. Instead, I heard insults, ignorance, and generational arrogance disguised as intelligence." His cheeks flared red. "You need us," he snapped. Ariana smiled, slow, lethal. "I don't need people who think my success is an accident and theirs is a birthright." She paused, letting every syllable cut. "Deal cancelled." Gasps, papers rustled. One cousin choked on air. "You can't just walk away," Langston barked. "We already planned public positioning." "Then reposition," she said, walking toward the door, heels tapping like a war drum. "Tell the world you lost a $900 million deal because you underestimated a black woman." She didn't slam the door. Real power never needs noise to be heard. When Ariana stepped into the hallway, she did not rush. Power never runs, it glides. But the moment the boardroom doors shut behind her, the polished calm on her face shifted. Not weakness, calculation. She wasn't angry. She was already 5 moves ahead. Her phone buzzed. Hundreds of messages. News cycles waiting. Investors watching. A 900-minute partnership wasn't just money, it was narrative, and she had just rewritten the ending. Her assistant Bella hurried alongside her. "They're panicking in there," she whispered, breathless with excitement. "You just walked away from almost $1 billion. Ariana stopped at the elevator, pressed the button and looked directly at Bella. "Correction," she said softly. "I walked away from $1 billion of disrespect. There's no return on investment when dignity is the asset." Bella nodded, eyes shining. "I just worry how the press will spin it," Ariana smirked. "Oh, they'll try. But I'm not done yet." As the elevator doors opened, a voice called from behind. "Ms. King, wait." It was James Whitmore, the youngest cousin. Sweat dotted his forehead. He was the only one in that room who had flinched when Ariana was mocked. The only one who looked like he still possessed a conscience. "I'm sorry," he blurted. "They shouldn't have." She held up one hand, stopping him. "This isn't about one apology," she said. "This is about a culture they live in. One sorry doesn't erase entitlement." James swallowed hard. "You're right. They think anything they touch becomes valuable. But your company, it's already what everyone else wants to be." Ariana studied him, not because she needed validation, but because she was measuring sincerity. "You don't need to defend them," she said. "You can't fix what they refuse to see." James nodded slowly. "I know, but I wanted to say it anyway." The elevator chimed. Ariana stepped in. "Then learn from this," she told him. "Real power isn't inherited. It's earned." The doors closed, and the world outside was waiting. By the time she reached the lobby, phones were already buzzing. Rumors travel faster than facts. Cameras flashed outside the building. Reporters sensed blood or brilliance. They never cared which, as long as it fed headlines. Ariana walked straight through, wind catching her silk coat like a scene from a film. One reporter shouted, "Ms. King, are you pulling out of the Whitmore deal?" Ariana didn't slow. "King Tech does business with visionaries," she said. "Not gatekeepers of old money arrogance." Flash, gasps, headlines, born in real time. Outside, her driver opened the door. She paused, not to pose, but because a call came in. The name on her screen made her smirk. Global Tech International, her biggest rival and biggest admirer. She answered calmly. "Miss King," a deep voice greeted, "we heard you just walked out of a $900 million deal." "Is it true?" Ariana stepped into her car and crossed her legs, tone cool as ice. "I don't partner with men who underestimate me." A low chuckle. "Then perhaps you're ready to talk to people who respect power when they see it." "I'm listening," she replied. Deals didn't die. They redirected. As her car pulled away, her reflection in the tinted window looked like a woman carved from destiny. But beneath it was something else. Fire, purpose, and a woman who built herself so no one could break her. Back in the Whitmore boardroom, chaos erupted. Calls, shouting, panic. Langston slammed his fist on the table. "She can't walk away from us." "She already did," his CFO whispered. "And the market loves her for it." On Wall Street screens, King Tech stock ticked upward. The Whitmore empire trembled. Because when a woman who built her throne walks away, she doesn't lose power. She proves she never needed theirs. Outside the city skyline glimmered like a promise still unfolding. Ariana wasn't done. And neither was this war. The room went silent as Rebecca's final word echoed like a crack in marble. The Billionaire family, polished suits, icy smiles moments ago, now stared at her with the same shock people get when the ground they thought was solid suddenly drops from under their feet. Their patriarch, Charles Harrington, who boasted generational wealth like it was oxygen, looked like he'd been slapped. His wife clutched her pearls. "Literally. You can't walk away," he sputtered, voice trembling between disbelief and panic. Rebecca turned, pause deliberate, like royalty choosing whether to acknowledge peasants. "I already have." She didn't look angry anymore. She looked free. And power like that, it scared them. One of the sons, the one who earlier called her diversity charity, actually stood up as if trying to regain control he never had. "Be reasonable. We can renegotiate." Now he wanted to negotiate. Before he wanted to humiliate her. Now he wanted her to save them. Calm, punctual as ever. Rebecca gave a soft laugh, the kind that didn't need loudness to cut deep. "It's adorable you think I'd let my billion-dollar work elevate a family who still thinks my presence is charity." Then she walked out. No rush, no hesitation, just elegance and certainty, as if the world itself made space for her. The boardroom watched her leave like she carried the contract, the power and the future with her, because she did. And when the door closed, panic, papers shuffled, voices rose. A legacy family suddenly begging assistants to call lawyers, strategists, anyone who could undo the fallout they caused themselves. Outside, Rebecca inhaled the crisp air and smiled. She saw her driver waiting, an older black woman she hired intentionally because she believed in opportunity, not entitlement. "How'd it go?" the woman asked, eyes curious but warm. Rebecca slid in, crossing her legs like a queen claiming her throne. "They learned." "Learned what?" Rebecca looked out the window at the glass tower she had just reduced from a symbol of supremacy to a reminder that power today doesn't always come from old names. It comes from earned brilliance. "Never underestimate the woman who earned her seat," she said softly, "especially when she can build a bigger table." Her phone buzzed, messages flooding in, reporters, investors, empowered young women saying, "Thank you." Her company stock climbed. Opportunities exploded. Meanwhile, the Harringtons scrambled to survive the storm they created. Rebecca leaned back, proud, calm, unstoppable. She didn't need their wealth. She was wealth. She didn't need their legacy. She was building her own. And she didn't need their respect. The world was already giving it to her. As the car drove away, her final thought wasn't anger or revenge, it was triumph. "Success," she whispered, "is the loudest clapback." And somewhere behind her, in a tower of crumbling entitlement, the billionaire family finally understood the cost of mocking a black queen who built her empire brick by brick. While they inherited theirs like hand-me-down pride, she didn't destroy them. They destroyed themselves. She just walked away. And sometimes that is the most powerful strike of all.